All right, let's move on. Here's another very interesting aspect of positive psychotherapy and interesting concept. You know, initially, Piasetzky created this idea that every person is able to understand this reality and investigate this reality through four dimensions by four sorts of means. By means of feelings. When child is born, the only way to communicate with the reality and observe it is through feelings. To see, to hear, to touch, sense. Yeah? The second one is by means of reasons. It's more logic, it's understanding. When child is able to connect things to get a picture, the whole more bigger picture through logic and rational understanding. The third channel, by means of tradition. This is cultural thing. We observe how parents, how our relatives, how our culture behave, how they perceive things. And when we are not able to touch things or see, we are not able to make any conclusions, or we are not able to face it in our life, we can deal with it by means of intuition. We can anticipate. We could construct the reality. If you look at us, at all of us, you could see that we have different resources within this model. Some of us more sensitive, some more conservative, some more rational, some more intuitive people. So from this concept, Piasetzky has created another concept about four dimensions of life. Basically, this is a concept that tells us that there are four main dimensions of life. First one is the body health. What a big part of our life turns around body and taking care of this body, taking care of our health. This is what we eat. This is how we sleep, make exercises, sexual activity, taking care of our pain, and so on. The second big dimension is achievements, activity, work. This is about results, achieving results, how we um, earn money, how we gain knowledge. Even if person says, I'm housewife, I don't work. There are a lot of things that this person must do, like taking care of the children or cleaning the house, cooking food. Some things that we have to do. The third domain would be about contacts and relationship. As people, human beings, we are social beings. This is about relationship, starting relationship, maintaining relationship, the social communication. Quite a big part of our life turns around this communication. Makes our life better. And the fourth domain, it's about future, about meaning, about worldview, about values and life goals. This is the domain that gives us a question: why, what for, what do we need in this life? So it's interesting. If you look at any problem that we may have in our life, we could identify and assign this problem to one of these four dimensions. When client comes and say, doctor, I have headache, I have insomnia, I have back pain, I would say, well, this person talks about physical symptoms, this problem with the body. Or some people say, I have these difficulties with my boss, or I'm not promoted enough, I feel unfair at my workplace, and so on. Could be more achievements. Contacts, well, I feel, when client says that, well, I feel very lonely, nobody loves me, or I'm dependent on some sort of relationship. And the fourth one would maybe say, I'm quite anxiety. I have these suicidal fantasies, or I have no idea what I'm living for, what the purpose of my life. I don't see any good future. So it gives us an idea that all these four dimensions in our life. So basically, if you take care of your body, if you develop professionally, if you have social relationship, and you know what you want in this life, your life gonna be good. The whole concept where we have these 4 dimensions of health, like health and achievements, social health, and spiritual health. You know, in the modern medicine, the dominating paradigm is psychosocial approach, and more specialists talk about another dimension, spiritual dimension, where some of our problems do not belong to body or social conflicts or work. They belong to a meaning of life, to ideas why we suffer, why we should we suffer, what do we want to achieve as human beings. And in positive psychotherapy, all these 4 dimensions incorporated in the whole model. If you look at different methods, you know, in the modern psychotherapy, there are about 1,000 to 2,000 different methods of psychotherapy. And positive psychotherapy is well recognized worldwide and accepted by main associations of psychotherapy. But if you look at this model and in context of different methods, you could see that psychoanalysis, body-oriented therapy, autogenic therapy, dancing therapy, hypnotherapy, psychiatry, more focus on body and health. They use tools and instruments dealing with health and body, and more biological, let's say psychiatry, mostly use biological approaches. Achievements, activity, cognitive approach, behavioral therapy, ego psychology of Alfred Adler, context, relationship, humanistic approach, systemic therapy, psychodrama, transactional, and some other methods, of course. And existential psychotherapy, transpersonal approach, logotherapy, expressive therapy, religious therapy, they focus more about domain of future and meaning. So in this context, positive psychotherapy could be considered concept because it incorporates all these 4 dimensions. So when we deal with client, and client says, you know, I have a problem with my meaning of life. So we would try to see how is it represented in his everyday life. We would still ask about body, about work, about relationship. All 4 dimensions will be under our attention, and I think this is it helps us to obtain a more holistic idea about what's happened with our client. Okay. The next idea that proceed from these 4 dimensions of life looks like this. If we have this 4 dimension of life, it means that we have 4 dimensions to deal with our conflicts. It means if you have a problem, you can deal with it through escaping into body, feelings, or symptoms. I'm sure you're quite familiar with these examples where because of conflicts, you can react with the headache or lose appetite, or opposite, gain appetite, or you can get some other symptoms. From 60 to 80% of all diseases could be considered as psychosomatic. I believe that there are much more percentage, but officially 60 to 80, that's quite a lot. Another domain, escape into achievements. When you experience a problem and conflict, sometimes we can compensate it with some activity. Cleaning the house, taking more responsibility, spending more time at workplace, helps sometimes go through these conflicts and feel much better. Escape into contacts, talking to mother, father, friends, just not to be alone, being able to communicate with and share your pain and your problem, be surrounded with some contacts that support you. I think this is a very powerful channel. And the next one, the fourth, escape into fantasy, future. Just by dreaming, reading books, watching TV, and substances like alcohol, as I mentioned before, or drugs. All right, so you could see that some symptoms in this context we already perceive as a available way to deal with your psychological difficulties. That's why, let's say, taking alcohol we accept as a way to deal with the conflicts. And isn't it interesting where the conflict is? You know, when you deal with a problem, sometimes you're not aware where the conflict is. So positive psychotherapy considered a psychodynamic method. It means that it's conflict focused, conflict centered, but at the same time, we look at these four dimensions of life as four sorts of resources. Let's say if you have a problem at workplace, but you have good health, you have good social support, and you have good ideas what you need in this life, you're not in a big trouble. If you have problem in relationship, so your colleagues, your health, your values can help you to go through these difficulties. All right? But can you imagine if you were fired, you have a problem at workplace, you lost your partner or nobody around who is ready to give you a hand and say, you know, I'm gonna help you. When you have no idea uh, what you really believe in, and if you break your leg, so well, this would be a, a big problem because there is lack of resources. You know, it's still there. Resources are there, but they are not developed. All right. So in this context, we try to focus our clients to maintain relationship. I give you another example. One of my clients turned to for therapy because anxiety or panic attacks. Trying to interpret it, trying to see the meaning of the symptom, we could identify that anxiety, it's an ability to spend a lot of energy without particular goals. So I asked her, what happens in your life? And she says, you know, I'm married for almost 10 years. I have two daughters. I have very bad relationship with my husband. I don't basically trust him. I have no education. I totally depend on him. I have no savings. So her anxiety actually tells her that you are in danger, you know, because the main function of the symptom to protect you. So she doesn't know what to do. Basically, she does not really deal with this relationship. She does not get any education. And this is how these different conflicts, let's say in the dimension of relationship, from which she escapes into fantasy, where she trying to create a scenario or she trying to create a possible future. This she experiences very threatening.